The news continues with California feminist Jenny Fote heading to Louisiana to face murder charges.
And the price of oil going down. These stories and more in a moment.
Now at Maison Blanche, poplin dresses just $24.99. Choose from jumpers, cap-sleeved dresses, or sundresses in cool, comfortable polyester and cotton. A versatile addition to any wardrobe. Worth $42, now just $24.99. Poplin dresses in missy, petite, and half sizes, only $24.99. Not all styles and all sizes, so shop early for the best selection at Maison Blanche, where all MB accounts are interest-free.
Steve Wozniak owns two of the world's most impressive sports cars. What's your favorite, Steve?
I prefer the Z.
Is it that sleek styling?
It's more than that.
Is it the lush interior, the sophisticated onboard computers?
That's part of it.
Is it all the racing championships?
Yeah.
Oh, what is it about the Z car?
It is awesome.
Hey, Steve, you sell the apples. I'll sell the Z's.
This is Channel 4, New Orleans. Garland Robinette. Angela Hill. Jim Henderson with sports. And Nash Roberts with the weather. From Channel 4 Television, this is Eyewitness News.
State officials are concerned tonight that a new round of worldwide price cuts for crude oil could affect production and prices here in Louisiana. That would mean fewer dollars flowing into the state treasury, as Ken Johnson explains.
Today's price cut should come as both good and bad news to residents of Louisiana. The good news, prices at the pump could go down again. The bad news, Louisiana could receive a lot less in royalties in the months ahead, forcing state officials to cut the budget again. Industry analysts say the latest round of cuts could affect both domestic production and prices. Britain triggered the latest price war by slashing the going rate for its North Sea oil by $3 a barrel. Norway quickly followed suit, then Nigeria and Venezuela. That action is expected to put additional pressure on OPEC nations to drop their prices. If they do, some analysts say U.S. producers could be forced to do the same. State officials say a cut in domestic prices would have serious consequences on Louisiana's finances. Last year, the state collected $478 million in oil and gas royalties, but that figure is expected to drop by at least $10 million this year, and that projection is based on current prices, which range from $30 a barrel to $31.50 a barrel. Now, as a rule of thumb, it's estimated that for every $1 a barrel prices go down here in Louisiana, the state loses $31 million in severance taxes and royalties. Now, sources at the state capitol have told Eyewitness News that both Texaco and Exxon are now considering cutting their prices for domestic oil, cuts that could have a serious effect on the state's treasury. Ken Johnson, Channel 4, Eyewitness News.
Feminist leader Jenny Fote lost the battle against extradition today and will be brought back to Louisiana to stand trial for murder. The California governor this afternoon denied Fote's request for a special hearing and signed the extradition papers. The 41-year-old Fote is charged with beating a South American businessman to death with a tire iron in Jefferson Parish 17 years ago. New Orleans police say the man charged with the Mardi Gras murder of a Florida tourist has already been implicated in several other armed robberies. 24-year-old Keith Messiah is being held without bond tonight for the murder of Bernice Hallman of Panama City, Florida. Police say Messiah shot and killed Hallman Mardi Gras Day during an armed robbery at the Popeyes Fried Chicken restaurant on Claiborne and Toledano streets. The arrest was made late last night in Baton Rouge.
The U.S. Customs Service arrested another drug smuggler at New Orleans International Airport today. Agents today took 22-year-old Oscar Jimenez in Colombian National into custody. They say he tried to bring a kilo or just over 2 pounds of cocaine into this country in the false bottom of a suitcase. The street value of the cocaine is estimated at $500,000. A dispute over the sentencing practice of a New Orleans judge is before the state Supreme Court for the second time tonight. Criminal Court Judge Matthew Braniff sentenced 2 men convicted of armed robbery to maximum penalties, giving one 99 years in jail, the other 198 years at hard labor. Their attorneys appealed to the Louisiana Supreme Court, claiming the sentences were excessive. The High Court ordered the men re-sentenced. But today, Judge Braniff issued the same prison terms, saying they are justified. He refused to step down as judge at a hearing to determine if the sentences are fair. This afternoon, defense attorneys appealed that decision to the state Supreme Court.
A federal grand jury has issued a mail fraud indictment against a New Orleans man charged with taking $450,000 from his former employer's estate. Prosecutors say Emil Schwant IV deposited into his own bank account oil lease royalty checks belonging to the estate of D.E. Vassar. Former Thibodaux Police Chief Augustine Rodrigue went on trial in federal court today. Rodrigue faces civil rights charges in the alleged beating of a man in custody more than 2 years ago. Taylor Henry reports.
On the opening day of testimony, government's first witness was the man Rodrigue is on trial for beating. Jesse Renfro described how in January 1981, Rodrigue beat him with a metal chair in a back room of the Thibodaux police station, and how Rodrigue kept striking him at 15-minute intervals till Renfro finally claimed not to know how his own blood spilled on the floor. Renfro testified police waited 5 hours after the beating to drive him to a hospital, where he received more than 24 stitches for head injuries. In her opening statement, prosecutor Pauline Hardin claimed it was part of Rodrigue's attempted cover-up. She quoted Rodrigue as giving these orders to the officers under his supervision. Don't take Renfro to the hospital for another 2 to 3 hours so he won't be connected with me. And to a medical worker attempting to treat Renfro after the beating, Rodrigue was quoted as saying, "Let him stay there and bleed to death." What brought about the beating, witnesses say, is Rodrigue's nose was broken in a scuffle with Renfro about 45 minutes earlier. Renfro had refused to obey the police chief's orders to leave the scene of a barroom brawl. One question unresolved is whether Renfro knew Rodrigue was the police chief, since Rodrigue was not in uniform. Rodrigue faces a maximum possible penalty of 11 years in prison and a fine of $11,000 for violating Renfro's civil rights and conspiring with 2 other officers to do so. Both the other officers are also defendants in the trial. Each defendant faces a maximum possible penalty of 10 years in prison and a fine of $10,000. Rodrigue faces an additional $1,000 fine and 1 year in prison. Taylor Henry, Channel 4 Eyewitness News at the federal courthouse.
Still to come, Nazi property up for sale.
And the cares of a big brother.
A lot of people claim to be experts when it comes to financial advice. But at First National Bank of Homa, our investment department is professionally trained to help you with your money decisions. First National Bank can give you sound advice and up-to-date information on liquid and secure investments. You don't have to go out of town, and you don't have to go to a broker. Whatever your investment needs, we'll help you get the highest yield on your after-tax dollar. First National Bank of Homa. We get things done. Member FDIC.
Presenting the biggest boat sale ever assembled under one dome, the 1983 New Orleans Boat Show. Hundreds of new boats on sale. Fishing, sailing, skiing, yachting, all at special one-time low prices and under the same dome for one-stop easy shopping, plus fun for the whole family. Herbie the Robot, mountain trout fishing, the Miss Michelob Light Racer, the premiere of the Robot Stage Show, and more. Be on deck at the Dome this weekend for the New Orleans Boat Show.
As the winter snow falls and the blustery winds blow, Ethan Allen invites you in for a very special winter sale. Come make yourself at home among the many cozy living rooms, bedrooms, and dining rooms, all at incredible savings. Wonderful Ethan Allen furniture and accessories to warm every room in your house. Come now and save so you can curl up in comfort during the many months ahead.
Visit Lafayette's Carriage House, downtown on Baronne, Veterans in Metairie, and on Berman Highway in Gretna.
Nazi officials tonight say the company has drafted a $90,000 check, and that money will be awarded to a Texas trio. That is, unless moves in a Houston court change a judge's order to pay the 3 for injuries suffered in a 1978 bus accident. Thursday, a U.S. Marshal served notice to seize Nazi headquarters on Baronne Street because of non-payment. And today, a federal judge in New Orleans refused to postpone the seizure, allowing the building and its contents to be sold. But Nazi officials say they'll challenge the order.
If anything, I think it's too late. The judgment is now final, and I'm here to collect it.
The accident involved a Nazi bus and the plaintiff's car on Canal Street. The bus driver was ticketed. There'll be a showdown tonight at the Slidell Memorial Hospital over whether to fire hospital administrator Imelda Pichon. Mrs. Pichon's troubles stem from the late payment of more than $315,000 in employee federal withholding taxes. Pichon says the payments were made on time. Hospital Board Chairman Sam Caruso has ordered a new administrator to take over, despite the refusal of Pichon to resign. The board meets tonight at 7 o'clock in the hospital cafeteria.
The Justice Department today ended its attempts to institute a new voluntary desegregation plan for the East Baton Rouge Parish School System. Opposition from the Parish School Board prompted today's withdrawal of the proposal, which would have eliminated mandatory busing and given students a choice of which schools they wanted to attend. It was the first time the Reagan administration had recommended an alternative to an already existing busing plan. Construction of a new communications music complex for Loyola University is now officially underway. Lisa Trapani reports the ceremonious groundbreaking was presided over by a nationally prominent newsman.
With that, Loyola University's grandiose plans for a spacious communications and music complex were put into motion. CBS News special correspondent and former anchorman Walter Cronkite was there to help turn the soil and to receive an honorary doctorate of humane letters.
For his lifelong contribution to the field of journalism, his fervent efforts to educate us in the wonders of man and the universe, and his intense dedication to the truth.
In his speech to students and supporters of the university, Cronkite said that informed people are at the base of democracy and that the new complex would be a significant contribution toward improving mass communications. When completed in 1985, the $13 million project will house both the communications department and the College of Music, two of the university's most touted curriculums. University President Father James Carter says the new complex will emerge as the finest training ground in the region for its students.
Loyola's communications program hopes to inspire its students to do more than mimic the recent past. It hopes to make them thoughtful and concerned men and women whose decisions will guide the communications industry to ever higher levels of service to all men and women and to ever higher levels of achievement.
Also launched today was a major fundraising drive to pay for completion of the project. Former Mayor Moon Landrieu and his wife Verna, both graduates of Loyola, are spearheading the campaign to raise the remaining $5.2 million. Lisa Trapani, Channel 4 Eyewitness News.
Well, tonight we conclude our series on quiet heroes, meeting a young man who has just begun to make a difference in people's lives. Nick Goodley is a young man on the move. He studied hard to become a civil engineer. He now works hard to be an excellent one.
We have 8 inches on the watertight and 8 inches on the non-watertight walls.
It was while studying to be an engineer that Nick learned the importance of an education and of having a goal, and of the difficulties some of his black friends were having.
Most of the white students say when they get to the school, they already know what they want, where they're going, and how they plan to get it. And due to the, I think it's a lot to do with the public system. People trying their best, but it's still, there's some problems with it. And most students get out and they're unsure of what they want.
To help that problem, Nick became a leader in the African American Congress at Tulane, working with freshmen who were having problems adjusting to university life. Then he took his crusade into the New Orleans public school system, hoping to motivate younger kids into a career.
You tell a kid, go to school, you can become an engineer, Well, that's great. What's an engineer? What does an engineer do? And why would I want to be an engineer? Things like this, I think, are important. They are just totally unaware that there's something else besides hustling and getting it at the moment. Go out and, try to plan and build a career.
So at a very young age, Nick Goodley has already med a mark, and he's not stopping now.
You got to study, man. You just got to get them books. You know what you got to do in them books, man. Just felt that I wasn't doing enough. I like to work with kids, so I decided maybe I can help somebody who needs help as a kid, growing up.
So Nick joined the Big Brothers organization and has been with his little brother, Andre, for 4 years. even after Andre and his mother moved to Poydras, Louisiana.
When I first started the program, they said they required we spend 4 hours a week, okay? But once we got into it, I was having fun, and, 4 hours wasn't enough.
Nick has already had a major impact on Andre, especially concerning a subject very important to Nick.
After a while, I asked him if he wanted to go to college, and he said no. Well, I didn't push the issue or anything. I just decided I'd show him what happens at college and what we have to do. So after that, we were just messing around or something, and he just said, well, I can't wait to go to college. Show off with me on you, huh? I want to embarrass me, huh?
Nick Goodley is very philosophical about why he wants to be involved with Andre, his community, his profession.
My favorite artist is a guy named Gil Scott-Heron. He's a poet musician, and he writes a couple songs, and one of them is named You Could Be My Brother. And in it, he says, once you started sharing, somehow you always feel you got more, and that's just the way it is. Good experience.
Great guy. I believe when he ever have a child, he's trying to be proud of him, A lot proud of him.
All right, little brother.
This is Angela Hill.
That's called good news.
Let me tell you, we're going to hear from that young man again. He's really outstanding.
Easy to believe. In sports.
Well, we'll be talking about Herschel Walker, who gave the folks in Athens a scare today.
That story after this.
The best smoked sausage you ever tasted got his name right here. Smoky Hollow.
What makes it so good, Grandpa?
The secret's in here. 100% natural hickory smoke for that old-fashioned smokehouse taste.
Making me hungry.
No wonder so many folks like Smoky Hollow.
Me too.
Smoky Hollow smoked sausage with that great old-fashioned smokehouse taste.
The secret's in the smoke.
Different wine. Of course, monsieur. Different wine for the newlyweds.
It's all gone.
Gone? What shall we do?
Devereaux, vite, oui.
Devereaux, s'il vous plaît. Rouge ou blanc? Ah, Devereaux!
So soon?
No problem.
There are times when only Devereaux will do. Devereaux, a crisp, dry white wine, and a classic full-bodied red imported from France by Austin Nichols.
Get a free Florida vacation for two with every new Joe Conti Toyota. Spend 4 days and 3 nights in Daytona Beach with breakfast, champagne, a pass to Disney World, and more. See Joe Conti for more details.
And in sports.
Well, Angela, there was great concern for a while today that the USFL was going to go back on its word and induce an underage player to leave the college ranks. The reason for the concern was that the player was Herschel Walker. But Walker called a news conference to say there was no offer from the New Jersey Generals, only discussions about millions of dollars that he will forego to stay at Georgia for his final year.
Money, I reckon it's good, but that's not the key for me in life. Like, it's how I feel inside. It's how I really motivated, because I have said I do not want to go out and take another big step in life. I got another year to think about it, and that's what I'm going to do.
Meanwhile, another player was announcing he will leave school for pro football. Penn State quarterback Todd Blackledge had 1 more year of eligibility after being redshirted his freshman year, but he says he'll pass on that, hoping to be a first-round pick by the NFL in April. Eyewitness Sports has learned that former Tulane star Ed Murray would like to leave the Detroit Lions and become a Saint. Murray has not yet talked with the Saints, but says he'd like to. He became a free agent this month and is free to make his own deal.
I want to go with a team that is happy to have me there and is in a situation where you can make the playoffs and do something better for the team.
Murray feels a trade might be one of the ways the Saints and Lions could work out his dilemma.
And here's Morton Anderson from Michigan State, and here I am from Tulane. That there's a possibility. You know, if the Lions don't want me to play, then let me go. But because of the Roselle rule, it's not that easy. And I realize that, but if there's a possibility of a trade there, I'd love to play for the Saints.
And that may be worked upon. It's been a week of spectacular crashes at Daytona in qualifying for the Daytona 500 Sunday. The latest occurred yesterday as Bruce Jacoby lost it coming out of turn 2. He's still in the car here as it cartwheels some 200 feet. Jacoby is in critical condition with a brain injury. The roof was ripped from the car by the impact with the infield grass. Melvin Paul gets his second fight on national television tonight, hoping that it turns out differently than his last one. In that one, Paul suffered his first defeat after 15 victories when he lost to Hector Camacho. Tonight, he goes back in front of the cameras in Atlantic City to fight Tyrone Crawley for Crawley's ESPN lightweight title. Crawley's 12-0. He presents a taller target than Camacho, but one that's not as elusive. Well, if you plan on driving the Causeway Bridge Sunday morning, you'd better be prepared for the sound of feet hitting pavement. The 18th annual Mardi Gras Marathon will be run, and this year, once more, it's across the 26-mile bridge. Chris Myers reports.
Today's press conference for Sunday's Mardi Gras Marathon didn't quite have the hype of a heavyweight weigh-in, but it did have last year's female winner and this year's top-seeded male competitor.
What I try to do is I talk to people about running the marathon, but the worst thing is letting it affect you. You know, if you don't get any sleep, if you worry about it, then it's going to affect your race. You try to keep the two things different. You'll do all right.
This year's trek across the Causeway Bridge will have about the same amount of participants as last year. A number of runners were affected by the Greater New Orleans Marathon, which took place in January. But there is still something special in racing across a concrete straightaway for whatever the reason.
I thought, man, that would be neat to run a marathon. And when I ran one, I really liked it. And I don't know, I guess maybe it's this feeling of being in shape and competing and racing. And
I really get a good feeling, a good satisfaction out of running fast and to the best of my ability. It does a lot for my, I guess you could say, personal self-esteem, my confidence.
It's still hard to imagine why anybody would get up at 8 o'clock in the morning to run 26 miles across this bridge. But at least they don't have to pay the toll. Chris Myers, Channel 4 Eyewitness Sports.
And at the fairgrounds today in the 10th exacta, the combination of number 6, Jay Birdie, and number 3, Sailing Hour, paid $64.50. And that's sports.
Thank you, Jim. Don is next with his forecast.
How do you soften your beard?
Hot water. Very hot water. Hot towels. Hold it. You guys should use Rise Super Gel. It's a super softener. Super Gel is packed with moisturizers. It actually softens under your skin to set up your beard for a super close shave. And Super Gel has a special lanolin formula to fight irritation. Super Gel softened my beard. Under my skin.
Rise Super Gel softens your beard under your skin.
For a super close shave.
Well, come on. Just for a second. Let me turn this chicken off. Whoa!
The chickens?
We left it soaking. Mom got spaced out, huh, Dad?
Won't the chicken taste greasy?
Not with Crisco oil. Great!
Not greasy.
Told ya. Space Cadet.
Crisco oil for fried foods that taste great, not greasy.
Let's test your willpower. See if you can resist prime rib the way we serve it at the Sizzler. Still holding out? Then here's something twice as hard to resist. The Sizzler's Double Cut Prime Rib. Twice as thick, isn't it? And now, to finish you off, the Sizzler has something nobody can resist. A bargain.
You don't have good news for the Causeway runners, do you?
That's right. There is good news and bad news, not a great deal of bad news, and it doesn't apply to too many people, but for the runners, I think Sunday morning, it is not especially good. A strong headwind expected.
Oh.
And that's the kind of thing that a runner does not like at all. I expect they would rather run in a little bit of light rain than against strong gusty winds, and that's what we expect. There is a little trough of low pressure from northwestern Louisiana back down into extreme South Texas. It's going to be drifting toward the east during the evening. I don't think it's going to produce any weather in our area, and it may switch the winds around a little bit toward the northwesterly early tomorrow morning, but after the temperatures begin to climb, begins to heat up a little bit, those winds are going to swing back around coming out of the south, and they will persist through Sunday morning. And that's where the problem comes in for the marathon runners. Winds will be coming out of the Gulf from the south toward the north, and the runners are going to be running from north toward the south. This system that is in the western part of the country will be moving in our direction all weekend. It is likely that the front is going to be close enough to us during the morning hours Sunday, and the winds will be pulled strongly into that low pressure area that it could be a little bit of a problem. Certainly it's not going to be a wind-assisted record when that marathon is finally through. But I don't expect any rain tonight, I don't expect any rain Saturday, and I don't expect any rain Sunday until late Sunday afternoon or even Sunday evening. I'm beginning to think now that Sunday evening may be the most likely time. So I don't believe there will be any rain occurring throughout most of the weekend, and we're going to see some sunshine each day. So it looks as if it's going to be a very nice weekend indeed, except for the runners. A few showers are occurring just off the southeastern tip of Florida. 72 degrees in Miami now, 59 in Atlanta, 48 in New York, 38 in Chicago, 65 in Dallas, down in Brownsville, 78, 61 in Denver, 63 in Los Angeles and San Francisco, 57 degrees up in Seattle. It is 47. This storm has produced very strong winds in the western part of the country. Gale warnings posted for parts of the Oregon and northern California coastline, rather widespread showers, and some pretty good snowfalls occurring in the mountains of the western part of the country. The satellite picture for this hour indicates that we're going to have fairly clear skies. There's a little bit of cloudiness just right on the southeastern tip of Louisiana back toward the coast of Mississippi, Alabama, and far western Florida panhandle. But this is the clear air that we expect to be in tomorrow. Very nice, and the heavy cloudiness in the western part of the country associated with that front that will be moving in our direction. Channel 4's weather radar, however, indicates none of it has shown up so far. We'll look at that forecast in just a moment. You're number one in lessons book. That's why we've been in business on the West Bank for over 50 years. You'll find a great selection of new Chevrolet cars and trucks. Lessons Expert Service Department and parts and body shops keep your car running right and looking good. We offer GMAC financing, plus the best deals around. Before you buy, shop at Lessons.
Come to Lessons Chevrolet. You're number one in our book.
1501 West Bank Expressway.
Break away when you want to get away. Break away, give yourself a half a day. Break away, come out and play. Break away to the fairgrounds.
The big ones are coming to the fairgrounds. This Sunday, see the special Fairgrounds Classic, the $100,000 added turf race for 4-year-olds and up. It's another special Sunday at the fairgrounds. Be there. You could be a winner.
Break away, since you're going through excitement. Break away to the fairgrounds.
The forecast map for about daybreak tomorrow morning indicates the mountains of the west will be very much affected, especially by snowfall as that storm center and cold front moves through the mountainous areas of the west tomorrow, and that will be most of the day. But no rain in our area at daybreak. This is the rainfall, percent of normal rainfall for the month of February, and as you know, of course, we're nowhere near through the entire month, but already New Orleans has 239% of the average February rainfall. That's for the whole month. Other stations have some very heavy rains too. 196% of the monthly total already in Shreveport, 136% in Jackson. So everyone is rather well above normal. 52 degrees was the lowest temperature in the city overnight. That came from Audubon Park. It is now 62 at the airport, 60 down in Boothville, 66 in Baton Rouge. Right now at Channel 4, our present temperature is standing at 64 degrees, humidity 69%, winds now at about 4 to 5 miles per hour out of the east-southeast. Our pressure stands at 29.99, and we've had no rain to measure. The forecast for tonight, clear to partly cloudy, no rain and mild. For Saturday, partly cloudy, no rain and warm. For Sunday, partly cloudy, windy and warm with a high of about 74. Showers Sunday afternoon or early evening. The low tonight 52, high tomorrow 72. Winds near calm tonight, becoming southeast 10 to 18 and gusty both Saturday and Sunday. Sunrise at 6:37, sets tomorrow at 5:52. One low and one high tide tomorrow. The marine forecast, winds becoming southeast 10 to 15 knots Saturday, seas only running 2 to 4 feet, so not bad out there for the entire weekend. I don't think we'll see any rain until Sunday night. Angela?
That's the news for now. Tonight at 10, we'll tell you what went on at tonight's meeting of the Slidell Memorial Hospital Board.
And we'll also have a preview of that big boat show at the Superdome. So until 10, have a good evening.
up next on PM Magazine, see the stunning city of Montreal.
And we'll tell you what Charlie's Angels are up to these days, so stay there.
It's a shame, but in the state that produces the most natural gas, the people of Louisiana pay some of the highest gas rates in the country. Louisiana Gas Service Company wants you to know why. Federal pricing regulations are just plain unfair to Louisiana. Angry about your gas bill? Write President Reagan and tell him you support LGS's campaign for deregulation of natural gas. It's up to us to tell the president.
Louisiana Gas Service is an independent utility and not affiliated with any other utility.
Know what a nickel will buy you these days? A generous serving of Mahatma or water-made rice. Quality rice that you can trust to come out light and fluffy every time. Quality that guarantees you'll get your money's worth. Meal after delicious meal. So next time, put in your 5 cents worth and come out with the finest quality rice. Mahatma or water-made rice. Rice you can trust every time.
This is Channel 4, New Orleans.
Sinclair.
And I'm Eric Paulson. Welcome to PM Magazine. This is the last night of our big Canada trip, and we're outside the beautiful Queen Elizabeth Hotel.
And I can't remember when I've had such a nice time. I've gotten to ski for the first time, and Montreal is beautiful.
Yeah, it's been a real nice trip. Speaking of Montreal, you're going to be showing us a bit of it tonight.
That's right. In our first story tonight, I am going to let you find out what Montreal is all about. We'll show you bits and pieces of the city, as well as introduce you to the mayor.
And speaking of beautiful, we'll find out what's up with Charlie's Angels these days. They're all out testing their wings, and I'm told that Jacqueline Smith is flying highest of all.
And I'm Linda Harris. Are you feeling stuck with winter? Well, let's get away for a fantasy vacation to Jamaica.
And Chef Sal prepares delicious Black Forest apples using German cherry brandy.
All that coming up tonight
on this edition of PM Magazine.
Approximately 3 million people make up Montreal and its surroundings. Sitting on an island in the St. Lawrence River, the Canadian city was built around Mount Royal, one of the oldest extinct volcanoes in North America. It is a changing city that has sponsored huge projects, yet wrestled with its age-old bilingualism. Today, the fact that both French and English are spoken here, with French being the predominant language by law, has become an asset. This neighborhood is called Outremont. At one time, it was only the French-speaking citizens of Montreal, called francophones, who lived here. Westmount, on the other side of Montreal, allowed only English-speaking or Anglophone residents. Today, according to journalist Gerald Clark, who has just published a new book on Montreal, the bilingual culture is mixing, thanks to the passage of Bill 101.
Bill 101 is specifically about language. It gives French preeminence over English, and it caused a tremendous furor because English had been the dominant language. And what it's done is to give French Canadians a great deal of self-confidence, much more than they had before, that their culture and their language is preserved.
Mayor Jean Drapeau says bilingualism has been an advantage for Montreal.
It is always an asset to speak more than one language. That is our experience. It may cause some rivalries on the other hand, but I consider that my personal experience favors bilingualism.
Jean Lanois, employed by the city of Montreal as a guide, agrees.
Once you start building a business, well, if you have a bilingual partners going around, you can have the American market, the Canadian market, the Europeans. So for the younger generation, which I'm part, we look forward to having bigger enterprises instead of having our small market in Quebec or small market in Canada. We're more international-wise.
Montreal's bilingualism proved to be a definite asset in drawing the '76 Olympics. This is the Velodrome, which ended up costing the city what 11 Houston Astrodomes would cost. It is still unfinished today.
Among other things, Montreal is known for the '76 Olympics. Now behind me is the Velodrome, which is part of the sports complex, and to your left, the pyramid-looking building was the athletes' quarters. Well, due to the terrorism in the Munich Olympics right before '76, the Canadians built a tunnel between the two complexes for the athletes' safe passage.